Well, hello. Hi. Howdy.
What's
Welcome
up,
in.
Nick? What's going
Hey,
on?
Ed. This is episode 62 of the Barking Brown Show. I'm Nick. And over there, that fancy man there, he's in his tie. That's Ed. He's our co host. We have Jacob out on assignment today. So, you just get the two of us, the dynamic duo. Hello. And Ed,
Hello. Hey now.
Ed, I know we're stuck in June 28th right now, but we are knee deep. You could perhaps say neck deep in Brown's drama. So I would just like to start by asking you, Ed, are you sounding the trumpets? Are you rolling out the red carpet? Are you playing baby comeback to Baker Mayfield? Are you welcoming him with open arms?
Nick, I'm sounding the trumpet. I'm rolling out the red carpet, but I'm not doing it for one person and one person only. I'm doing it for the Cleveland Browns fans because we're making the playoffs this year. And I know all this gloom and doom and all this talk about one Baker Mayfield, one Deshaun Watson, but they forget about something that the Cleveland Browns have and that got really good last year, the defense. And oh, by the way, Nick, did we add a special teams player by the name of Cade York that
Ooh,
can win us games now if need be? So, and I understand what we're going to get into and the topics we're going to discuss, but I just want to say the red carpets for welcome back to the NFL playoffs, Cleveland. That's what I want to get people focused on. But yeah, when it comes to Baker Mayfield, saw him in Oklahoma today running a camp. Look, Baker Mayfield's a great guy. I never had a problem with Baker Mayfield, what he did in the community. I just didn't think he was the franchise quarterback, especially being the number one pick. Now, I think Cleveland Browns obviously felt that way because after you go to Pittsburgh and win a playoff game and you don't get a contract extension, I think that kind of speaks to where the organization views you and your talent, and they thought Baker Mayfield was probably gonna move on eventually, and that's what he's doing now. I think he'll find a home. But I wish him. Seeing him today, Nick. I don't know about you, but just seeing him out there with the kids throwing the balls around and everything like that. It brought back all the good feelings that I had from last year and in the years
sure.
prior. So I wish nothing but good things for the kid, except when he plays the Cleveland Browns. But I do not wish to roll the red carpet out for Baker Mayfield.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your spin on the red carpet, Ed, because if the Browns made the playoffs again, I don't, that would kind of be like the first time it was like I felt like something was like life changing was happening. And if they could do that for a second time, I think maybe I could start to like get used to that type of feeling. I'd really like that. I would.
It's funny because as I always, tout my age, and I don't know why, because I'm 42, whatever. But the thing I got to see that you didn't get to see was consistent playoff appearances in 85, 86, 87, 88, and 89. That was kind of fun, and it's just like being an Ohio State fan, that I am down here in Columbus. It's fun, every year, you're probably going to be in contention for a Big Ten title and maybe the college football playoff. Hey, Mitch, go Browns. I agree with that. MC Lawrence checking in. He's better than Brissett. Okay, well, you know what? To that, here's the thing about that. I am not going to sit here, MC Lawrence, and you're one of my biggest fans. I'm one of your biggest fans. You're great.
Yeah.
And say this, and say that Baker Mayfield is not better than Jacoby Brissett, because I'd be a liar, and I'm not a liar. But here's the thing. Does Jacoby Brissett play better than Baker in a system that he doesn't feel like he has to do everything? Look, we bring Baker Mayfield back this year. And here's the thing. He knows it's a one-year audition. Does he worry about himself more than the team? I think a little bit last year he kind of did. And I can't even blame him. I can't blame him. If you went to Pittsburgh, won a playoff game, didn't get a contract extension, you're coming back, you got the fifth year, but, basically, you're auditioning for yourself. And, I love me some me, so I will never fault anybody for promoting themselves. Or he's got his family. He's got to do what's best for him. But at the same time, Jacoby Brissett comes in here, and he is a capable quarterback. Now, is he better than Baker Mayfield? Like I said, he's not. But can he play better? And maybe with the expectations of him coming in, just being that guy to hold the torch and the mantle before Deshaun Watson eventually steps in. I mean, there's something to be said about that. When Bernie got hurt back in the day, he had Mike Pagel and you had Mike Tomczak and people like that. They knew they weren't had any aspirations of being a starter. They came in, they ran the game plan, they didn't try to do too much, and then the Browns won with defense and running the football. And last time I checked, we still have Nick Chubb, correct?
We do.
Kareem Hunt, right?
Yep. Him too.
Dearness Johnson.
I would think so.
as of right now. Obviously, things could change, but as of right now. And like I said, that defense that we still got is still pretty good. So once again, it's got the recipes of the late '80s Browns, but a little bit more weapons on offense now. That's the thing people forget. Forget who the quarterback is. Do you think we upgraded our wide receivers as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely.
You comfortable with Njoku taking more tight end snaps as the tight end one?
I certainly am.
Okay. Offensive line, obviously going to be more healthier than it was last year with Jedrick Wills and all the other, right?
Right. You know what? I'll never forget Jedrick Wills had the ankle injury and then he re-injured it later in the year. Wow, our tackle's name. Jack Conklin came into the season with a knee injury, I think, that Ken Carman alluded to it. I remember that, like, they didn't officially say Jack Conklin was hurt, but we knew he was. And then he gets hurt even worse, right? So I'd like to hope that they have a little more luck, especially as far as that goes.
So we've upgraded every single position on the Browns. And then, yes, maybe Jacoby Brissett isn't exactly up to Baker Mayfield. But like I said, did we not argue last year? I mean, incessantly, week after week, day after day, that Baker Mayfield could just play average, not lose us ball games. Well, that's what you're going to get in Jacoby Brissett, And look, and if they did bring Baker back, just say, I love drama, so I would probably be opposed to it. It'd be fun. And if Baker could come in and just be Baker, not even of 2020, but just be Baker, don't, throw 4 interceptions in a game on Christmas Day, then we probably would have won more games. So that's the thing. And like I said, it just rehashes this whole, and the Baker wars and things. And I just want to get over that. Look, wish the kid good luck and moving on. Because like I said, he's a great guy. Saw what he did today. I've always loved Baker. Like, and to your point, Nick, and would you say this? Because, I'm an old school Bernie guy, but to tell us, I want to hear from you, especially because, why does Baker mean so much more to you than he does to me? Because he does. I can feel it. I can sense it. And I know the reason, but I want the audience to know, why does he mean so much to you?
Yeah, well, so I was born in 1990, and basically I consider my Browns fandom 99 and forward, because that's really all I can remember. And especially as I'm like 2003-ish, right? I'm a teenager. That's like the nuts and bolts of my Browns fandom, like right in there and forward. And you just have to, like, so Ed and I were talking about this off show the other day. And we were just like, well, what's the Browns winning percentage since 99? Right. Because that's like, we were just talking about. And we looked it up. And I had the audacity to ask which franchise had been worse since 1999, the Sacramento Kings or the Cleveland Browns. Spoiler alert, it's the Cleveland Browns, right? With a grand 32% win rate in my lifetime. Well, no, I should say since 99. So everything I've ever seen. But you got to keep that in mind, right? And I think, as we've gone on this journey, especially, we talk to each other on Twitter every day, like, people see, obviously, I used to support Baker, and then the Browns move off of it. So, obviously, I'm a Browns fan. I'm not a Baker, like, I'm a Baker Mayfield fan, but I'm a Browns fan first. So, I don't know what else I'm supposed to do but support my team, right? But Baker Mayfield still did. Like, he just, the winning that he did, that one playoff game, is the best I've ever seen, right? And the best a lot of people have ever seen. So I think that's kind of why. And I think that leads me right into, there's a bunch of ways to go at this conversation, because for me, would I potentially prefer Ed's idea? And if you've been listening to the Barking Brown show, Ed's proposed idea was, if Deshaun Watson's out for a long period of time, trade for Jimmy Garoppolo, right? So I know we're about to get into that, but I just want to say that I do think, despite the fact that I've personally moved on, I do think that there is a outcome where Baker Mayfield somehow is our core. It feels weird to even say. I'm like having trouble saying it, but I do think there is an outcome where Baker Mayfield ends up as the Browns quarterback in like a disaster scenario, because it's still his best option, right? If you looked at the 3 teams, Seattle, Cleveland, Carolina, I mean, Cleveland's got the best roster across the board. So your best chance of another contract is with the Browns. So in that disaster scenario, I could see it happening. But I know, Ed, I'm getting the, I know, I get it. So I just hit me.
Here's the thing. Baker being Baker, which the chip on his shoulder, which is been good for him. It's actually been his motivation, and now it's been a form of mockery for a lot of Baker haters on Twitter, and then and I get that, but at the same time, I think Baker. Here's the one thing he did that he's never going to be able to overcome this. But you can't make the boss mad, and you made Jimmy Haslam mad. And especially when rich people get mad, they hold grudges because sometimes they can be a little petty, and I think Jimmy probably I mean, wasn't one of the rumors, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but I think it's very plausible that when Deshaun Watson, we were out of it, supposedly the Browns were out of it, and then the rumor was that they were supposed to talk to Baker, and Baker shunned a conversation with Jimmy Haslam, and I could see Jimmy not being too happy, and probably telling Andrew Berry, "Hey, get me Watson," and I don't care what it costs at this point, because I'm, rich people don't like to be made fools, especially in public.
Well,
and I mean, now he's kind of looking out to be,
once you went down this path, like, it was never going to be clean. No matter how much we wanted it to be, no matter how easy we wanted it to be, it was never going to be that. Like that's not that's just, it was never gonna be. And you know what? So for a minute, I was just like, you know what? Deshaun's he got his charges dismissed. It's gonna be fine. Everything's just gonna go away. He's gonna not be suspended, and off we go. Well, took off the rose-colored glasses and kind of seeing the reality of that. And so that's kind of how I've ended up here, right? Is that, like, if Deshaun's gone for a year, like if he is gone for a year, obviously the Browns need an answer, because, like, I know you spoke highly of Brissett and what he could give you, but I think that this lends itself perfectly into an idea that took over Twitter yesterday, courtesy of, well, you.
And yourself.
It was a team effort. It was a team effort. Bang, 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 bang. Yeah, there it is. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's great. But so I mean, without further ado, let's talk Jimmy Garoppolo.
I'm going to talk Jimmy Garoppolo because what I mentioned to you when we were pre-gaming earlier today, the problem isn't Jacoby Brissett. He's got starts in the NFL. He's got some good numbers in the NFL. Here's the problem in the National Football League. Players get hurt. I know that's not a secret to anybody. So then who's your backup, Nick? Dobbs? Anybody? I don't believe, has he ever started an NFL game?
I would say no.
No. And then, so so that's the problem. So if he gets banged up or anything, we still got to win football games. I mean, there's 17 games, and you can't just say, hey, this just cares about this one. You got to try to win it. And so that's why, I mean, it's not getting Jimmy Garoppolo isn't necessarily about, Jacoby Brissett's, people's thoughts of his inability to get the job done. It's more or less, to me, a thought of, you need to solidify the quarterback room, because in case something happens, you need, some veteran presence. You need some guy that's actually taking a snap, because you're trying to compete. Like, I don't want this to be a wasted season. I know a lot of people are gloom and doom and about this Deshaun Watson thing. Here's the thing. It's still, to me, an 11-6 playoff team, regardless of who's playing quarterback, because I expect the quarterback to go in there and not having to be the reason why they win games. Just don't screw it up. I think the defense, the special teams, and especially with the run game, I mean, this is an 11-6 team. I mean, even last year, 8-9, I could argue 3 or 4 games that our quarterback, I don't want to say my name because I don't want people coming at me, but if he doesn't, throw multiple interceptions, we probably win it. So there, 8-9 could have been easily 11-6 as well last year. I mean, these games are not, this isn't college football where, these are blowouts and against, inferior opponents. National Football League, every week you better put your chin strap on and it's going to be a slobber knocker. So I don't know. I don't like to give up on seasons either, because like I said, do you want to tell Nick Chubb and Myles Garrett to his face, you know what? Try hard, give it your all, but we're probably not going to, compete for a Super Bowl. Would you? I don't think they would buy into that.
No. Well, and you know what? Your team is positioned. Everybody slobbers all over the roster, and rightfully so, right? Because it's one of the better rosters in the NFL. So, and you don't know, like, the Browns just got Jadeveon Clowney back. Like, that was never a given that he was returning. And so I know that the core of the team is still young. But things change quickly in the NFL. And so I don't want to go down too deep down this road, but there's a player on the Browns right now that you think is going to be here for the next 7 years that may very well not be, right? Every year is important. Every single year is important. This roster is built to win now. And so I want to make it clear when we talk trading for Jimmy Garoppolo, we're saying in the event that Deshaun is suspended for the season.
For the
right?
whole
Because,
year.
For the whole year. Because I just don't think, and Ed doesn't think that, like, could you go into the season with Jacoby Brissett? Sure, but you still need another quarterback. I don't think you're realistically relying on Josh Dobbs. So I don't think that was ever there.
I hope not.
Yeah. So, and Mitch over here saying that reports say Jimmy G already has a locker nameplate made. Not
his
credible.
house. He's already got the house in Strongsville too.
There
Mitch,
it is.
So
Yep.
Yeah.
He bought Odell's mansion on the east side.
East side, yeah,
east side. There you go. Perfect. Makes sense.
I
I just think, you know what, if that's the situation you're in and you say, how do we save this season most, right? Because the thing, and people say Baker Mayfield's already on the roster, right? And I understand that, but consider a few things. Jimmy Garoppolo's on the final year of his deal. He wants to get paid again. The 49ers have been very public about wanting to move on from him. So realistically, I think it's like a third round pick to get that guy. I that's my guess. I'm not an expert, but because Jimmy's making like 24 million next year, so he's expensive, right? If the 49ers could get him off the books, I mean that they could make some late offseason moves, some nice additions if they wanted to, right? They have flexibility, so I think they would be motivated because they have Trey Lance there, right? So from their perspective, like I think on paper, like if you're in an emergency situation, that's like a godsend for the Browns, is it not?
That's exactly what you want. And here's how I look at it. What we're 40 million under the cap now, and I got all these people saying he's 24 million. Why do you want to spend all this capital in the quarterback room? Because newsflash, in all of professional sports, the most important position is the quarterback. And the only way the Cleveland Browns are going to be successful next year is if they have capable quarterback play. I'm not even asking for them to go out and get, you lost Deshaun Watson, to go out and get another franchise quarterback. I'm just asking to get something and I will say this. Now, I don't think Jacoby Brissett's better than Baker Mayfield, but I will argue that Jimmy Garoppolo is better than Baker Mayfield only in the fact that his ceiling isn't as high, but I guarantee that if Jimmy Garoppolo came in here next year and just ran the offense, it won't have as many mistakes. And that's the thing, just same with Jacoby Brissett. We just want him to come in here and run the offense. And here's another thing, too, which I didn't want to mention this, but if Baker Mayfield, especially in this situation, if Baker Mayfield was so beloved by the locker room, I don't see anybody on the Browns, as players saying, saying, hey, well, we have Baker on the team. Don't worry about it. Because, I mean, he is a member of the Cleveland Browns. And I don't see Myles Garrett. I don't see anybody with the thought of even saying, hey, look, we got Baker. There's no reports of any rumors that the locker room saying, hey, we got Baker. No matter what happens with Deshaun Watson, we got Baker. No, they've already moved on as well. Because you know why? Everybody wanted to move on. I think even Baker wanted to move on and kind of alluded to that today. I think sometimes a clean break for everybody is what we all need. And I think that, these people that want to keep rehashing these wars on Twitter, okay, if Baker wanted to leave or the Browns didn't want him, who cares to this point? I think eventually and essentially it's going to be best for all parties that it's just a clean break.
I want to say something though, Ed, because part of me sees this side. We know that Baker is a giant prick to people who wrong him. And we know that when he wants to be, he can be really short-worded. He can say, like Jesus Tony was like a big, I mean, if anyone remembers.
You didn't get the T-shirt, did you? You didn't get the T-shirt, did you?
No, I didn't. But so all I'm saying is it's interesting to me that Baker allowed for there to be that possibility there, like if they like initiated it with him, because the type of dude Baker is like if he could have just been like, F the Browns, like he probably would have, honestly. Right. So I'm just saying he didn't say no. I like, you know what? I'm not rooting for that scenario. Right. But it would be I mean, imagine. Can you imagine?
You know what? If
Just for a minute.
Deshaun Watson, I'll say this. Put it. Here's the receipt right here. Here's the receipt right now. If Deshaun Watson is suspended for the year, I advocated for the trade of one Jimmy Garoppolo. But you know what? What I really want is for the Browns to bring back Baker Mayfield. And let's do it. Let's do it. Hey, Baker bros. Hey, you can come at me. Baker haters can come at me. Y'all can come at me. Let's have a party. Let's have some fun. Let's meet in the community lot. Let's get drunk. Let's have fun. Let's do this. Because you know what? It's entertainment, guys. This is, the Browns football. I love it. It's very passionate, in my soul and everything. But at the same time, it's entertainment. And bringing Baker Mayfield back, and plus the kid's talented. Like I said, it would be one thing if he just sucked, if he was like Colt McCoy, but you know what I'm saying. But the guy's got arm talent. Now I do question some of his reading of the defenses, but look, Kevin Stefanski hid that in 2020. He could hide it with this talent too. So
I think so too.
Bring Baker back. Jimmy who? Let's go, Baker.
I'm just saying, man. Like you know what? Like we could all go back in like our old roles on Twitter. Like I'll defend Baker, and Sean will hate me, and Victor will love me, and
yeah, let's do it. Let's run it back.
Let's just but
shout out to Victor, by the way. Shout out to Victor.
Hey,
one
Victor,
love,
love you guys. Love you. I hope you're having a great holiday week. I know those schedules are tough for me too, man. So, but anyway, I just the pointless Twitter nonsense.
That's what's fun about it. You know what, though? I'll say this. A lot of people take Twitter seriously, and I understand there's some ruffled feathers, and sometimes it can get it's a hurtful place, and I understand that. But at the same time, look, guys, I think the passion's there. I think we all want to, get along and have that. We just have different ways about going about it, just kind of like our country sometimes. And it's just like we love something so much, and we're so passionate, and we think that our way is the right way, and it can only be done this way. And look, the Browns haven't won a Super Bowl ever. They've never made a Super Bowl. So I don't know what the right recipe is going to be for them to actually get over that hump. And maybe it's Deshaun Watson. Maybe it's bringing back Baker Mayfield. And maybe he goes on this magical, epical ride, and they make a Disney movie about it, and all that. Wouldn't that be fun? Only in Cleveland.
Biggest mess that there's ever been.
I mean,
we'll be so happy it won't matter. But
I mean, look at your shirt, Nick. I mean, 3-1 was a mess at the time. Cleveland cleaned it up, didn't they?
You know what? Today, Draymond Green went viral for saying that that if Kevin Durant hadn't joined them, that they would have beat LeBron, like when the Cavs ran it back. And I quote tweeted. I thought about being really mean for a minute and like making fun of the fact that like he went blubbering into his phone, calling Kevin Durant as the champagne's still wet in the Oracle over there in Oakland or wherever.
Kevin, we need you, Kevin. Okay.
No, it was more like Kevin,
we just lost game 7. Kevin.
I just wanted to.
Doesn't that? But honestly, Nick, as a Cavs fan, look, I obviously losing the 2017 and 2018 NBA Finals to the Golden State Warriors, it wasn't a fun thing, especially knowing that they went out and got Kevin Durant. But it makes me feel good knowing that they knew that they had to get Kevin Durant to beat us, knowing that they were going to get beat those final 2 years. It kind of makes that 2016 championship even more impressive because, look, man to man, they couldn't match up with us, so they had to go out and get an elite superstar. I mean, which is that obviously made it unfair, but that makes me feel good as a Cavs fan.
The best regular season team of all time had to go get the second best player in the game at the time. Oh man, I just I don't want to dive too deeply, but you think about 2015 when Kevin Love has his arm pulled out of his socket and Timothy Mozgov misses a tip-in. The game goes into overtime in the finals. Kyrie Irving hurts his knee. The what ifs of that season. So then you say they win, then they win 2016. They could have had a dynasty. It would have just been, they would have won like 4. Oh, it'd be like Buffalo, except they won.
Yeah.
They won. Yeah, Buffalo still doesn't do that. So,
but anyway, no, they don't want to talk about it.
Oh, you know what? I just want to say about that. That game was the most interesting to me of all the playoff games, because it was like two teams that became incredible at playing the new game of football, like the way the game has gone. Where it's just like all they do is throw. Nobody runs the ball. they just throw forever and deep and long and score as quickly. And it just, it didn't feel like anybody. And granted, Buffalo especially comes into the game with this elite secondary. And it doesn't even matter, right? Because Patrick Mahomes that game, you know what? But my point in all of that, in saying all of that, is that you look at Buffalo and you're like, yeah, they could go win the Super Bowl right now. They just ran out of time, right? Because neither team ever stopped anyone.
It reminded me of when I used to go over to my buddy's house and we'd go play Madden. And it's like, maybe 13 to 13 and a half time. But then you figure the other guy out and you've run in the same play basically over and over. Just go deep. And if for some reason there's some pixel shade and it always seems to work out. And that's kind of like how that final, couple minutes played out. But you know what? Also, too, it proved something to me that you got those two elite teams in Kansas City and Buffalo, and they're going at it. But what happens the next week? The Cincinnati Bengals go into Kansas City down 21-3. And then you know what they do? They play defense that second half. And that's one thing the Cleveland Browns have. Like, I mean, I know that we keep talking about the quarterback, but, I don't think Joe Burrow, you look at Joe Burrow, and especially in the playoffs, he wasn't elite. He wasn't elite. You got McPherson going 20 for 20 in extra points and field goals, and you got that defense playing lights out, especially in Tennessee and then obviously in Kansas City. And even in the Super Bowl, I thought they played pretty well. So I look at this Browns team and I'm like, I know our defense is better than Cincinnati's defense. I know it's going to be. And then, you look at the offense and it's like, I like our offensive line better. I mean, their wide receivers, fine. I'll give it to them. I like our running backs better. And then the quarterback, yes, okay, everyone wants to say Joe Burrow's this and he's all that. And look, I take Joe Burrow. Don't get me wrong. Do I think he's a franchise quarterback? I do. I don't know. Sometimes, people say, what is a franchise quarterback? Sometimes I don't even know what that word means, but I know it when I see it. Sometimes there's quarterbacks that, maybe, you can argue somebody else's, but like even Baker, for instance, you look at his numbers and it's like you compared him to Drew Brees, he puts up some mighty fine numbers his first 4 years. But when I see him play and then I see the context of when it happens, I just don't feel, I feel he can be a really good quarterback. I just don't feel like he's that upper echelon franchise quarterback. And I think that what the monster of the NFL is, like you said, mentioning the Kansas City Buffalo game, is you're going to need an elite franchise quarterback to be able to compete in those games. And I don't know if Baker can do that. I don't, and maybe he never will. But I do think he'll have a good career as an above average quarterback. But Cleveland, especially nowadays with the arms race and scoring 40 points a game, basically, I think Deshaun Watson is the long term answer there. And I hope he can get his things figured out.
I will say to your point about elite defenses, it's interesting that even the alien that is Patrick Mahomes was shut down against Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl. And then despite the fact that Buffalo did have an elite secondary, obviously he lit them up. But then he got shut down in the second half against Cincinnati, right? And then you look at the Super Bowl, right? And there was that iconic picture of Jamar Chase streaking down the field open, and Joe Burrow sees him, but he's getting sacked, right? So it is an interesting thought about an elite defense, that if the Browns really do have one, I mean, for as much shine as offenses and that side of the ball get in today's NFL, it's interesting. You got my gears turning, Ed, and it's interesting to think about how even the best quarterback in the game, right? Well, however you want to, Patrick Mahomes,
he's the best. Yeah,
one of the best quarterbacks in the day.
Fair.
However you want to say it, right? And then you look at last year's Super Bowl and just see, even then the defenses are still being impactful when the general narrative of the NFL is that it's all offense and the defense is really going by the wayside.
Well, here's the thing. Just like your shirt, I always like to reference that 26, the Cavs team. You have teams like Golden State. You have teams like in the NFL. They run systems. Okay, the elite defenses. One thing I like about the Browns, they actually are an elite defense basically without a pass rush. I know Myles Garrett gets his sacks, but you look at Cincinnati and how they would get to the quarterback, and then you obviously the Rams, obviously, and it's like I look at this Browns team, and it's like they got an elite defense. And they're not even maximizing their pass rush potential. This could get real fun this year. If with Clowney back, and then I like Winovich, I like Taven Bryan. I like some of these guys because they're maybe not stars when they came here, But I think the way Joe Woods runs his system and the influx of the substitutions and everything, I think they're going to have some fresh legs and they're going to be, ready to go. And plus, like I said, if we score 30 points a game, when Deshaun comes back and everything's clicking, that puts pressure on the other team. And then guess what? They're in passing situations, and then you're licking your chops. And the fact is, we already got a team that's really good at defending the pass. The Browns have a really good secondary. They really do overall. I know we complain about the injuries and things like that, but all teams have that. They're really good at defending the pass, especially for a team that doesn't get a consistent pass rush. Now you throw in a consistent pass rush. Oh my gosh! Our secondary won't have to be out there for 3-4 seconds. The quarterback will either have to get sacked, throw the ball away, and that's when interceptions, deflections, and all these good things happen. So I'm looking for big things in the turnover ratio this year for the Cleveland Browns, and it'll be on the positive side.
I tell you what, the way Mr. Roach, who I'm sure is listening and is curious what I'm about
to
say.
Jacob.
Right Hi, Jacob. Yeah, because I'm sure I got your attention. So here it is. The way Mr. Roach talks about Alex Wright, I'm expecting big things there. So between him and Winovich being our defensive end 3-4, and Myles Garrett and Jadeveon Clowney, I mean, I have very high. The only thing really, I mean, and I know there's going to be a lot of times where the Browns put three DEs in at a time, right? And so they only got one defensive tackle. But it would be nice, I mean, obviously, there's been so many good defensive lines in the Super Bowl recently between the Rams and the Buccaneers, and you see what Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh and of course Aaron Donald do. Like if the Browns could find that guy, oh man. They need that guy. They just one. I mean,
that's what we're talking about. That's what we were saying. We've been saying, and check out YouTube because Jacob Roach has been putting out some good stuff lately, and he's doing some positions and everything. So check that out.
He's doing position groups. You know what? I love his breakdowns, and you know what? Jacob, it bless his heart for because Ed and I are not the stat gurus that Jacob. Jacob loves the numbers and all that stuff, but so he really gets into the nerd stuff in his breakdowns, and I love that, right? Because I love listening to it. I just don't always regurgitate it. So it's really cool to see him in his own element and just doing his thing. So I would definitely check that out. And I would encourage everybody. I just want to say a couple different things. So our most recent winner was my great friend Tato of our Patreon monthly Zabo shirt giveaway. And so obviously we love Zabo, right? They're veteran owned and they're locally owned, but and Ed knows this and Jacob knows this, but we're going to just kind of tease a little bit. So there may be Barking Browns merchandise, and every month before we were giving away a shirt from Zabo. Well, we're still going to do that to our Patreon members, which is just $5 a month. And on top of that, we are going to do Barking Browns merchandise giveaways for all of our Patreon members as well. So not only will you have a chance to win one shirt every month, you'll have a chance to win two. That's a value. I don't know. I'm just saying. I think it's value.
Huge value right there.
Huge. That's value. So we're going to be promoting that soon. You guys are going to see all of it, and this is just the beginning, right? We Ed especially has some ideas cooked up because Ed Ed knows the flair. He knows. He'll really in. Which, speaking of that, we here at the Barking Browns love ourselves some Built Bar. If you're looking for a protein bar, if you're looking for something that is delicious, well, we have the right thing for you. Built Bar is great. Built Bar is delicious. And you can get 10%, 12% off with code BARKING at BuiltBar.com. Barking. Like the Barking Browns show. What you're listening to right now. Oof. What? Barking?
Barking.
Yeah. Barking.
BARKING. Barking.
NG. With a G.
With the G.
Okay. So, if you haven't thought about that. And finally, last but not least, the housekeeping. Thank you all for everybody that has been here. It means the world to us that you guys are tuned in. But just in case you haven't remembered, you can subscribe for free with your Amazon Prime. With Twitch, you link it. You help us. We keep giving you more content. And as the season comes, we got all kinds of stuff for you. Ed knows. Lots of stuff cooked up. Huge. Yeah, there it is. All right. So, with that being said, I think we should address the elephant in the room, Ed, because we've danced around it. We've talked a little Deshaun Watson, but we would be remiss if we did not discuss the fact that he had his day one of his disciplinary hearing with their mutually appointed arbitrator. Arbitrator?
Yes, Judge Sue Robinson.
Judge Sue Robinson. Thank you. What you know. What are your thoughts on this?
It's lasted more than a day. They're going to meet tomorrow. I'm not privy. I don't think anybody is. I could sit here and say all these things that have been regurgitated on Twitter, but I wasn't even expecting that question from you. You know what? But I'm glad you asked me, because here's what I think, and I'm hoping tomorrow they go in there and they settle, and they just say, you know what, this is going to look ugly for both sides, and we don't want to get into it. But maybe they probably would have done that before they walked in there today. So the dreams of that probably aren't too realistic. But you know what? When I put my head on the pillow and wake up, I'm going to hope for that. But I don't know. I think it's going to go as planned. We're going to find out, sometime next week that it's going to be, a certain amount of games, and then we'll roll from there. But I hope that whatever happens, that there's closure.
Mm-hmm.
And we can just move on, because I just want to win. And I know people were coming at me. I made a tweet and said, Cleveland greater than Browns greater than any player. And I love the city of Cleveland. And for me, it's more of a civic thing. But I also understand that there's people that just love the Browns as football, and that's great too. But the Browns always trumps any player. So at the same time, how do you win though? You still need good players, great players, and I think it's Deshaun Watson can still be a great player. And also, not be the most perfect citizen. And, somehow we'll have to, reconcile that. But I'm ready to reconcile for the city of Cleveland and to get a winner that's been long overdue. I mean, the fact that the Cleveland Browns have never been to the Super Bowl, I mean, for a storied franchise, for the birthplace of football in Northeast Ohio, Canton, and I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. It's long overdue, and I do think that Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski are the right people to get us over the hump.
I do too.
And if they trust in the players that they got, and I think that they trust Deshaun Watson's talent on the field, and if he can be on the field, then I think that good things are going to go the Cleveland Browns' way. So, but until then, you know what? We're fans. We're going to have fun. Let's have fun. Hey, you know what, Nick? Did you get your training camp tickets?
Oh, you know what? I that is a perfect teaser. But I just have a couple thoughts I'd like to share about all of this. Yes. Because no matter how you look at it or view this whole thing, the one thing we know for certain is we are nearing an answer on all of this, which I think we can all agree, no matter what side you're on, is nauseating every day. Just discussing it. I'm And so, you know what? Honestly, I've been taking I've just been taking it a little easy, right? Because it's the same thing. It's repeated, and so at least we're getting closer to that being done. And no matter what, I think too, what I've learned from talking to Ed. What I've just learned from all of this is that there are still some options for the Browns if in the disaster suspension scenario, which I mean is very, I don't think normally, and you can tell me if I'm crazy, but I don't think in a normal year, there would be like two viable quarterback options as of June 28th, just sitting out there, for being Baker Mayfield and the other being Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, is that normal? Do you think that's normal?
You know what? I've always said it's not normal. I think quarterback play in the NFL, over the years has gotten worse. I mean, you look at the players. You look at the like Drew Lock. Is he really a viable candidate to be a starter in Seattle? Like some of these, you look at these teams and who they expect to win the starting job, and you're like, they shouldn't even be a backup in the National Football League. So the fact that you do have Baker and Jimmy Garoppolo, who I can wonder about. If the 49ers, for instance, they don't like Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's fine. In a Trey Lance, if he was as great as what I feel like he should be ahead of schedule, but maybe he is. Maybe he is the franchise quarterback. But I always felt like Baker in the 49ers uniform, because of I always felt like that would have been a good fit, because it's like he's kind of like Jimmy Garoppolo, where he's and he runs the same kind of system. So I always felt like, and maybe Shanahan doesn't like him, but I always felt like that would have been a kind of a cool fit to see him there.
I think, you know what, if there was another system that Baker could be successful in, I think Baker is built for a Kyle Shanahan.
I know, I agree.
Run the ball, pound, and then just throw to your big tight end and your one receiver, and off you go.
Yeah.
You know, like that's. I mean, he could run that, right?
Easily.
And that's the one thing I think in all of this about the Jimmy Garoppolo, because some people thought we were crazy, right? Because Ed and I are tied.
Oh, we're crazy. I want everybody to know
Yeah.
Nick and I are crazy,
Sure,
but for
you
other
might be.
reasons. Other
Yeah.
reasons.
Other reasons, total
Yeah.
reasons. Well,
So, right. That's fair.
I'm just saying, like, and because I know MC Lawrence, I know we've talked and you're supportive of Baker, and I totally understand that. But I will say the one thing, and I see you got another comment, MC. So we'll get to that next. Jimmy just, I don't see a situation where Jimmy is going to throw 4 interceptions and just force it into double coverage and repeat it. Like, yeah, maybe he'll throw an interception. Fine. You know, it's not like he doesn't throw them, but you rarely see him truly fall apart, I think. And Baker, when he was rough, was
Rough.
rough.
He was.
Oh God! And you know what? And it's the craziest thing about and I can feel myself getting frustrated. I went to LA. I watched that Chargers game. I watched Baker just toss the ball all over like he could. It's very frustrating. I'm so frustrated. But anyway,
You gotta let it go, Nick.
I'm gonna
You gotta
let
let it go.
it just that this stuff coming up because they had Ian Rappaport on. That's what stirred all of this up. Is 92.3 had Ian Rappaport on, and he said, like, he shouldn't go out on this limb, but he could see a situation where Baker Mayfield and makes the most sense for the Cleveland Browns on that, and that's what started all of this, right? Because Ian's supposed to be credible. Like, I mean, he breaks all kinds of reports.
You know, he's credible. He's credible.
Yeah.
And honestly, when he says is it the best viable option, is the best, he probably is. Honestly, when it comes from a talent, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and lie. Baker Mayfield on the Browns probably it doesn't make the most sense because of all the stuff, but when it comes to football sense, it makes the most sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got one of our good friends here.
Hey.
Dropping us the flames. Hello. Well, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
Absolutely. And we also, I know MC Lawrence had this here because we were talking a little defense, and you know what, Ed, I did want to pick your brain about this. What do you think about bringing Joe Hayden back as a backup spot starter?
All right, let me say this because I got receipts about Joe Hayden. So if I say something nice about him, they're going to say I'm backtracking, and which as a cornerback you should be backpedaling, right? So here's the thing. So Joe Hayden got drafted from University of Florida. Gator boy, Ohio State Buckeye, wasn't exactly the best fit for me. But the kid was talented. He came in. He went to Cavs games. He embraced the city of Cleveland like no other. He had a great couple seasons, and then he got burnt by Cecil Shorts III of Jacksonville, another a Cleveland native. And then it was all kind of downhill from there. But Joe Hayden, he goes to the Steelers. Okay, I don't blame him. He needs a job. He's got a family. People take it personally. Why? Okay, it's not like the Browns wanted him, so he goes there. I say you bring Joe Hayden back. It's a good story. The guy likes Cleveland. It's the National Football League. You can never have enough cornerbacks. If he's willing to come back at a price that they can mutually negotiate and be happy with, why not? I mean, the kid can still play. I mean, I guess what? He'll still be at the Romo Fijo rooting on our Cleveland Cavaliers, who have a nice bright future.
Absolutely, he will.
So yeah, bring him back. Why not bring him back? The Browns could use a few feel-good stories. I mean, I understand it, and I hate that people come after me like, well, they still got 8,500 people that got season tickets, so who cares if everybody hates the whole Deshaun Watson thing because there's plenty of Browns fans. I get that. The Browns, people love the Browns, and they're going to sell out, and they're going to do their thing. I get that. But it still doesn't hurt that the PR department to have a couple, hey, bring Joe Hayden back. Oh, it would be great at First Energy Stadium.
I just want to you sent me down a rabbit hole with Cecil Shorts name drop there because it was eating at me. He was a Mount Union Purple Raider, renowned in Northeast Ohio. Well, are they Northeast Ohio?
Yeah, I would consider that.
Renowned of it. And kudos to him, man. Local product. I think he went to Collinwood. He went to Collinwood High School.
Okay. When I went to North, well, I didn't go to North, but when I lived in North Olmsted, and North Olmsted would always play Collinwood, like in high school football. So yeah, it's like their only one. It's like their one win a year.
Well, hey, there it is.
Hey, they got better. They got a new stadium, got a new high school. So shout out to North Olmsted Eagles.
My Hillside Middle School 7th and 8th grade team won one game both seasons. And it was against Medina Root. bless their hearts. Those,
bless them,
because we were awful, but they were just a little bit worse.
Sometimes that's all you need in life. Just somebody a little bit worse than you.
Yep. But I just want to say on Joe Hayden, you know what? And kudos to him. Joe Hayden was a supporter of the Cavs through even the bad times. Like that was just, and you know what? I mean, maybe like his Browns teams were rough, the Cavs teams were rough. Anyway. It would be nice to see Joe Hayden back. I'd be fine with it, honestly, because he never wanted to leave, right? Like he was they tried to renegotiate. I don't remember the whole mess with him.
They didn't want him. They didn't want him.
They didn't want him. And Sashi Brown. That was a casualty of Sashi Brown. I'll never forget. Yeah.
Well, I'm not advocating to bring him back, so we'll be okay.
Well, he's in the he works
Baltimore
with
Ravens. The Ravens. Yeah.
I hate them both. Wow. Anyway. So yeah, I mean I could see Joe Hayden being back. I love the Browns secondary. So if he wants to be another piece of veteran leadership, because that room is kind of young aside from like Denzel Ward, right? So yeah, okay, I'm for it. And I think, you know what? I'm sure this process is going to my conspiracy theory. I just want to say in conclusion about the whole Deshaun Watson thing is that they're going to drop it the Friday of July 4th weekend, because Monday, and they are just going to go away and you know what? Because people are going to be real mad, but then they're going to go off to their parties, off to their lives, and it's going to simmer down a little bit. So everybody come back on Tuesday with cooler heads. And that is my opinion on what they're going to do.
So you're saying it's going to drop this Friday then?
Yeah. Yes, I am saying it will drop this Friday.
I'm kind of thinking you're right because they're meeting. It's like I don't know how much more decisions. She's probably looked at all the evidence. So now it comes down to she's finalizing things. She's talking with getting the final thing. So I mean I don't know how much more time she would need to actually come down with an actual verdict of how many games. I don't think that would be I don't think she would need a week for that. I mean sometimes they administratively do that, but I'm to your point. If I'm the NFL. Friday at 4:00. We'll see you Tuesday. We got no questions till then. I don't want to talk about it.
I just want to say shout out to future Ed and future Nick, who are going to benefit greatly from this call out that they're going to drop the news on Friday when we get to play this clip back on and share it on Twitter. It's going to be great. So, hey, you guys are great.
Huge.
Past versions of us, you were really smart. Thank you for that not useful knowledge because that news is dropping on Friday or nothing. No,
it's very handsome too. I think we're very handsome. So when we replay this clip, we go, look at those two handsome guys calling us out like that.
Just hat and tie matching. If you're listening audio wise, shout out to you. By the way, I love you. Ed's hat and tie match in perfect form because
shout out to Brownsbot who was upset with me because I wore a brown tie, so he said go with the orange. So this one's for you, buddy.
Great. Hello, Brownsbot, I miss you.
Yeah,
if you don't know, Brownsbot is very much worth your time and your follow,
and stay out of the rain. We don't want you to short circuit.
Yeah, don't short circuit. But I think Ed, that this has been a pretty cool dynamic duo show.
Absolutely.
I just want to say, whether you've joined us now or whether you're joining us in the future, thank you for listening. And in honor of Jacob, the most valuable thing you can give to anyone is your time. And from the bottom of my heart and Ed's, I'm sure we appreciate it. I said sure. I don't know why.
Anyway, sounds good.
Yeah. You know what? And it was the Blake Hans episode. Some guy named Blake. I think what better than for us to be here doing this, sipping some Kool-Aid, trying to, I don't care. I'm excited. Football's coming. Oh, you know what? I'm not going to send us out. I can't send us out. I got to tell you, you led me right into training camp talk and poof, it went away. So what do you got, Ed? What training camp?
Well, I will be there Saturday, July 30th. So come out, the first one, come out and say hi to Ed in Columbus. I'll kiss baby, sign autographs, do all that. I got
32 days from today.
Let's rock and roll. I'm excited. I know I'll see some of my dog chug friends. I'll see some of Barking Browns compadres. So excited to see what's going to rock and roll this year. And it starts at training camp because just like we were talking about spring training, hope springs eternal, and I can't wait. So, we're going to find out some news before then. But when the helmets hit, the pads hit, it's training camp time. It's no better time. Berea, Ohio, I will see you July 30th.
Absolutely. Look for perhaps some joint episodes from same location. Oh, might be fun. So, with that little tease, thank you for joining us today. Ed, you're great. I appreciate it. This is the Blake Hance episode number 62 of the Barking Brown Show. On we chug. Nick, he's at, wow, I pointed the wrong way. Well, technically, you're over here and you're over there. There you go. He's Ed. Go Browns.
Go Browns!